Today I'm delighted to be sitting down with Olympian athlete Liam Malone, who at the age of 23 represented New Zealand at the Rio Paralympics. He brought home 2 gold medals in the men's 200 metre and 400 metre sprints. He has now moved from Wellington to Auckland after recently graduating from Victoria University with a Bachelor of Commerce. While most of us are struggling just to handle the deal of university, Liam was balancing his university life alongside his training life, having only recently started seriously training in his first year of university. Liam continues to set himself extraordinary goals with his next mission to become the fastest man in the world. Welcome, Liam.
Thank you very much for having me.
No worries. First off, congrats on the 2 gold medals and like an alright job on the silver.
Yeah.
And a nice job graduating uni last week.
Thank you very much.
As well. So you were born through a rare disease where your fibula bone was missing. So what were the kind of options around that? So your parents decided to amputate both feet. Were there any kind of other options?
Sure, so it's either amputate or don't amputate, and so you have to weigh up the risks that are involved with both. So I was really fortunate. I had a very optimistic orthopaedic surgeon. He actually made the decision. My parents put that onto him, and he sort of scoured the globe, got a huge number of examples from parents that had opted to go with either, and the overwhelming evidence suggested that amputation would provide a better value of life down the road. So, it's strange to say that I'm grateful for someone chopping off my legs, but he made the right choice, and here I am today.
Cool. So having gone through this, you've pretty much made yourself a household name in New Zealand for being able to run around in circles pretty fast. Why did you pick running?
So it was all strategic. So when I was in my first year of university, Mum had died the year before, really depressed, been involved in trouble throughout high school, made a number of bad decisions, and I decided to turn my life around, and so I had to assess different things that I could do that would be bold, that would allow me to add a portion of value to society, and then that I would be able to capture a large percentage of the value that I create. So it's like a 2-step process. And so I looked at things like climbing Mount Cook, but I wasn't willing to lose more limbs at that time, do stand-up comedy, but the irony of a guy with no legs doing stand-up was ridiculous. I looked at starting my own business, but I hardly had enough money to buy noodles and beer in the weekend. And then running was overwhelmingly the obvious choice. It was 3 years to the next Paralympics. Although the guys I'd been competing against had been around for 8 years, they were all running faster than the able-bodied guys in New Zealand. I thought that it was at least worth a shot, and I thought that I'd be able to add a lot of value in that time because I'm quite personable. So I thought I'd be able to make somewhat of a name for myself if I had one, and that would allow me to commercialise that and build a base to do other things.
So learning to overcome something is difficult growing up. Did you kind of have any fun with this, like come up with crazy stories about how it all happened?
Oh yeah, all the time. Shark attacks was a classic, so that was like my go-to. Losing my legs and to frostbite was another classic. But then I also did like lots of pranks at school. So the classic, spray deodorant on my leg, light it on fire. That was a bit of a classic. And then turning my leg around backwards when I was wearing pants, or turning it sideways and telling the teacher or new teachers that I dislocated my knee. That was a good gag. So I had a lot of fun with it, and that's the best way to overcome sort of challenges.
Cool. So with graduating in a Bachelor of Commerce in marketing and international business, do you plan to market kind of like the new blades that you're running with now?
I definitely don't plan to commercialise them, just because that market segment's really, really small. Like, it's a niche within a niche. And so I don't see that being very viable, but I intend to market what I'm doing and packaging it in a different way outside of traditional Paralympics and Olympics, and the way that that's presented. So my sort of current idea is that I put track down in the middle of a street, either in Wellington or Auckland, become the fastest person in the world, run 9.5 seconds, and do it that way.
Cool. So Nike is one of your biggest sponsors. How did that kind of come about, that relationship?
A lot of hustling. Like when I started running, I said to my friends that within 3 years before I get to Rio, I made a promise to them that I'll be sponsored by Nike, and I just missed it. I just got sponsored by them after I came back from Rio, and just by the way I've always achieved everything is just by reaching out to people constantly, when I got back from Rio, I messaged hundreds and hundreds of employees at Nike, but eventually it was through the guys in the New Zealand office that came to the table.
Nice. So you're heading off to the States in a few days and then the UK. What are the plans over there?
Yeah, so one, train in some warmer climate. Two, I'm meeting with potential stakeholders who have acknowledged that they might be willing to assist in developing a unique pair of blades. And then I'm going to London to work with Channel 4 and do a bunch of media. And then I'm heading up to Iceland to meet with my current blade sponsors, do some testing, and a bunch of other things in between. I'm catching up with friends at Google, Facebook, and just assessing different opportunities that exist over there.
Just a little bit popular, aren't you? Anyway, so how does your whole training process kind of work? So is it broken down to like weight training, cardio? So what's
Sure,
the kind of
good
breakdown?
question. So it's done on segments, like depending on where I am in the year. So winter, we have what we call just winter training, which is like building a base. And you can think of it like a pyramid. So you build a base, you do a lot of endurance, a lot of cardio, a lot of really heavy strength training. And then as you come into race season, you sort of taper it all off, you ease off on the weights training, you focus more on speed work and resting more, and then eventually you come to the peak of the pyramid where you're pretty much resting the whole time and you're just focused on racing.
Cool. So while you're over there, you're walking towards your goal of becoming the fastest man in the world.
Yeah.
How are you going to achieve this?
Yeah, cool. So the question you have to ask is, are my blades that I currently have the most efficient for running the 100 metres? I think the obvious answer is no. The quickest way to get faster when you have two artificial legs is make yourself taller, because speed is just meters per second. So if you can cover more meters per second, you're going to reduce your time. I've got to run 0.141 seconds faster per 10 meters to make this achievable, which is 1.4 seconds over 100 meters. And I think the real answer will be lying in making myself 7 or 8 foot tall.
Cool. Well, thank you for coming in today and taking some time off your
Easy.
busy, hectic schedule.
Easy.
And we honestly look forward to hearing about your results after you come back from overseas.
Thank you very much for having me.
No worries.